Siam Park, located on the island of Tenerife in the Atlantic Ocean, is the largest water park in Europe with a surface area of 46 acres.
Siam Park is the best water park in the world for 8 years consecutive.
To me, it's a work of art, unique the world over. It's a very special park that has what it takes to amaze. We have facilities you won't see elsewhere.
The construction of this extraordinary place required 6 years' work and close collaboration between the park's director and the company which made this dream possible by designing, manufacturing, and testing more than 15 thrill rides.
The secret of a great water ride is, number one, is to exceed expectations.
The design of these water attractions took into account the island's mountainous relief, favoring the existing slopes and natural gravity to guarantee thrills and adrenaline.
We don't believe that a water park is to see the slides. The sensation is the importance, the emotion is the importance.
This water park with the Thai-inspired theme holds several world records.
The biggest dragon in the world is a sculpture. I have the biggest artificial wave in the world. I can do 4 meters artificial wave. We have the highest difference in a lazy river with 8 meters. And we are the biggest representation of Thai architecture outside of Thailand nowadays with 63 Thai buildings.
To bring the water to the park, high-tech machinery was required to pump this essential element from 300 feet underground.
We have about 21,000 cubic meters of water in the park.
These millions of gallons of water undergo extensive filtration and desalinization to produce a soft water that is more pleasant for visitors.
The most important element in a water park is the quality of the water. It must be treated so that the visitors can enjoy themselves with confidence.
The water used will be refiltered every day to cleanse it of impurities, and it will then be recycled and reused in the park.
We have a depuration unit where we recycle our water.
With 1.25 million visitors annually, the park prioritizes visitor safety and environmental protection.
We want to be, and we work to be, the most sustainable park on the world.
But how could such an exotic place emerge from this arid soil? How were these unique attractions dreamed up and made? How could these Thai constructions have been created in an authentic way? And how could they be made to work on a daily basis with 100% renewable energies? Dive into the heart of this XXL leisure construction. Tenerife, the largest island in the Canary Archipelago, is also the highest, with peaks reaching 12,000 feet in altitude. Located off the coast of Africa, 619 miles from the coast of Morocco, it welcomes close to 6 million visitors per year. Predictably, the economy of this Spanish island is geared towards tourism. But in recent years, particularly since another airport opened in the southern part of the island, the tourist sector is seeing a change in the reason visitors are coming.
The tourists, they changed, which was their demand from the north of Tenerife to the south of Tenerife.
Christoph Kiesling, the director of Siam Park, moved to Tenerife after running an airline that served the Canary Islands. He has worked for years in his father's group, active in tourism, and therefore knows the market well.
At the beginning, they all came for health reasons. Back in the 19th century, they came to Tenerife in wintertime for the good climate and the good air and so on. And in the 21st century, the people then came for sun and beach. So the demand and the profile of client changed. And in the south, we had more than 150,000 hotel beds. And all the hotel companies, they said, we want a park in the south.
A call for proposals was launched by the local authorities, and the Kiesling family won it, as it held an advantage. It had already launched a zoological park in 1972 in the north of the island, the Loro Park, a paradise for parrots. So it knew the region and its tourists well. However, some in-depth research was required into the world of water parks. So Christoph Kiesling's first move in 2002 was to attend the IAAPA, the famous amusement park expo in Orlando, Florida.
I asked all the providers what are the best parks they know. So my father, which is the president of the company, gave me the great opportunity to travel to the best water parks in the world. In total, it was 75 water parks I visited before I start designing this one.
The result of their research was a desire to innovate and stand out from other parks, all of which offered the same kind of fairly standardized attractions.
And we said, we're going to tell a story, and we are more inspired by Indiana Jones, who was always lucky because it doesn't matter when he slipped off at the hillside of a mountain and he came down the mountain. He got into crystal clear water and a nice atmosphere. Everything was perfect. So we thought, why don't we try to make that with our slides? Give the people the sensation that they walk up a hill, and then that they have a wonderful path where they can slide down, and they get into a wonderful, clear water, tropical or subtropical reception area pool.
Before offering this unique experience to customers, Christoph Kiesling first had to find land that would allow him to realize his dream. The exact spot in which to build the park was left to their discretion. The only condition was that it should be located in the southern part of Tenerife. And it was in Playas de las Americas, a southwestern resort much visited by tourists, that they found this vast desert space.
If you look up there in the mountain, you can see behind the line of Siam Park, the earth is dry. It's a desert. Here was nothing. It was sand and a little plant called tabaiba, which can live without water and without earth. We did big earth movements because this here was like a canyon. So we had to raise the floor from the canyon so that we put different platforms in. So below us, there might be up to 25 meters of refill. So it was a big work of taking away on one side and putting into the other side.
Initially, the work consisted in preparing and transforming the terrain to give this environment a look of untamed nature.
We defined areas which should stay green forever, like the ring around. So we had to make the surrounding of the park should be green, and that's why we started there with the plantation. We brought it with the trucks down from the north to the south, and then we installed a big deposit of water so we could irrigate. And then we had the opportunity to buy a big number of plants for a very good price. And then we looked for workers, not gardeners, workers with big hands and with power. And we wanted to plant this like a jungle.
At the same time as preparing the land, Christoph Kiesling had to find a company capable of crystallizing his vision of the park, with thrill rides at its heart. Following his visit to the Orlando Expo, he had contacted several manufacturers, including the Canadian company ProSlide, very interested in this ambitious group's project.
They had every intention, you could tell right away, that they wanted to build a world's best water park. So I remember within a day or two, I made plans to fly to Tenerife from Canada, and it was the most important meetings I could ever have in the history of ProSlide.
Rick Hunter is the managing director of ProSlide, which he founded in 1996. This former professional skier, lover of downhills and thrills, had a very specific idea on how to design theme parks. He would now have to convince Christoph Kiesling.
He wanted to see what my vision would be for the site. So in fact, it was an empty site, but it was beautiful because it had all of this beautiful terrain. So Christoph and I took, I would say, a number of hours, and we went from one end of the site to the other.
We take in consideration, which is the topographic structure of the land. And then we look for what slide is possible to come into that piece of land.
I saw where the rides could go.
So Rick and me, we were up here on the mountain, and we took stones, and we said, there we can do this, and there we will do this, and there comes this.
So we walked around and pointed out very, very quickly, we had a topo map that had all the grades, as well as now we're walking it.
The two men quickly discovered a common energy and the same philosophy about the conception of the ideal park. It shouldn't reveal anything of the structure and integrate as well as possible into the environment, in particular by utilizing neutral colors close to nature's palette.
He was very definitive on wanting colors. He didn't want reds and he didn't want this bright stuff. He wanted things that matched the environment.
We don't believe that a water park is to see the slides. The sensation is the importance, the emotion is the importance. So why should we show infrastructure? Every slide is tailor-made to the ground, even to excavate a little bit the mountain and put the fiberglass inside the land so that the vegetation is overgrowing and you are with your shoulders on the surface of the floor.
Other companies had shown interest in the park, but were offering more traditional, colorful installations with visible structures. A long way from Kiesling's vision. So they decided to move forward with the market leader ProSlide. But the desire to innovate would require the Canadian company to go further than it ever had in the way it designed attractions.
Before we did Siam Park, usually the slides, they had an in-run, the attraction, and an outrun. And then I talked to Rick and I said, I would like to extend the in-run to make it like a story. And then we did a drawing. And then we had to look that we have sufficient green area in between the slides so that they are not overlapping and you can't see one from the other slide. And then we established the first positions and then we went into the engineering.
This stage of developing an overall plan of the park took many months. They needed to ensure they had the right mix of attractions, that they were sufficiently strong and complementary, and that they were all placed in the best possible location.
The master plan had multiple revisions of every type of water ride to make sure that we were doing the best rides and the most cost-effective rides also, so that they would be as close to grade as possible.
When we started building the park, we didn't have the final master plan finished. So it was more like an organic growth.
Though the plan wasn't completely finished, ProSlide would begin producing elements of slides in Canada that would be sent to Tenerife. At the same time, the structures that would support them were built.
We can literally do what we call drilled piers, which are cement. So, you know, sometimes it's a dog bone, which is a cement bar right on the grade, and the slide can drop right down onto the soil. Other places where we go a little bit higher, we've got two vertical piers that are drilled piers like concrete. Also, the pools, pumps, and piping have been pre-engineered and planned, and that can be done while the fiberglass is being built as well.
The engineering for the water comes from ProSlide. They tell us how many cubic meters per minute they need on the injets. That means they design where the water should be introduced into the slides, and they tell us how much water. And we have to do the piping, and we have to prepare the pump room so that we can supply sufficient water.
To operate the attractions and bring down rafts holding several people, water must be sent into the slides at specific spots in precise quantities. Various trades would therefore be active on the site at the same time. A supervisor sent by ProSlide for the assembly of the attractions, a construction company, engineers, and gardeners.
It was quite chaotic, to say it like this. We had up to 300, 350 workers at the same time on the construction site being distributed into the different areas. We had the gardeners working there, we had the trucks with the earth come in, we had the irrigation system, we had to do the deposits. For me, it was my first big construction, so it was a big challenge. And the people which worked with us, for them, it was also a big challenge because we want to do it slightly different than the other people have done the parks before.
A vast project that was followed at the time by Rafael Marquez, Siam Park's technical director, a difficult undertaking because constructions of this type were not common at the time.
Here, everything is unique. And when you make unique things, everything is undefined. The workers weren't used to working that way. It was a first time for everyone.
When you do a water park, you have different aspects. One are the slides, obviously, but they're also the most sensible because the fiberglass with the construction work, the dust, the trucks and all of this. So you have to be very careful that you don't break the slides.
We've got hundreds of meters of slides of different profiles, and depending on which rides we were working, because you would prioritize which rides. You don't do them all at once. You focus on getting one done or an area of multiple slides in one area done. And you literally pick up, and it's a big part of a snake, and you pick it up with various types of, wraps, okay? And you move this, a portion of the slide up into position, and then you attach it.
Once the various elements of an attraction were fixed and joined, and the attraction was completed, Christoph Kiesling could see if what he imagined was close to reality.
My hope was that once the slide is finished, that I can have the first time the experience to see if our illusion feels the same like the product. So always when one slide was finished, I was the first one to go down on all the slides.
But before that, different levels of testing had obviously been carried out upstream, in particular by ProSlide, which knows each of its attractions and has a laboratory for this purpose.
We have an indoor test area near our office.
Jeff Janovich is Vice President of Sales at ProSlide. Present since the creation of the park, he has followed the development of each of its attractions.
We can actually set up full-size sections of attractions and test different vehicles, different weight, weight of riders, different water flows to optimize the performance characteristics of the attraction that will finally get installed.
To guarantee total safety for its customers, Siam Park also called upon an external company, TUV, a German inspection body that issues safety certification.
The TÜV went to Canada to join the process of the fabrication of the fiberglass slides. And then they took all the blueprints of the engineering back to Germany, and they did a recalculation of all the engineering. And they can send a rubber ball down, or they can send the tubes down with sacks, with sand sacks on it. And everything was 100%, so there's no doubt.
But the park wasn't entirely built in fiberglass. Some rides, particularly those in concrete, were developed directly by Siam Park and required several versions and corrections.
So there's one slide which is located in our lazy river. It's the Mai Tai River. In the Mai Tai River, we have a concrete slide coming down, 8 meters of height difference from the upper lazy river to the lower one. And that one we did it out of concrete. So we tried to do what we call a pool-to-pool slide. So we did downshoots, like steps, and then you got into a little pool, and then with the water flow, you should get out of the pool into the next slide. But what happened when we tested it was the water was going on, but the boats, they just stayed inside and circling around. So what we had to do is we had to fill up the pools with concrete and make it a channel. So now we have a channel which goes stepways down. It's a very nice one, but it costs a lot of money, lots of testing, until to the very end to have the right inclination, so it's not too fast, it's not too slow, and the people get easily through.
But other incidents also interrupted work in the final phase and involved having to redo part of what had already been done, which raised tension on the site.
When we finalized the installation and we were with the cleanup, so you use acetone to clean the silicone from the joints. And one of the guys, he had a headlamp because it was a dark slide. and he wanted to change the batteries. And to see how to put the batteries in, he lighted a lighter. And since the whole tube was filled up with acetone, it caught fire. So that part of the park burned down. And we had 4 slides affected by the fire. And ProSlide was so kind to send us all the material again so that we could rebuild the burned slides. That was one of those moments when you think it's crazy.
In the end, the project, which was initially supposed to take 2 years, took much longer than expected.
I was here every day and I walked on the construction site and I said, this looks like it will never be finished. It took us 6 years. 6 years to build Siam Park. Time is always a challenge. Money is a big challenge. So the initial budget was overdriven. That means we went far over the initial budget.
The cost of Siam Park has reached some $62 million by 2008, when the Kieslings decided to open. They chose September 17th, after the high season, because they wanted to test it, to fine-tune the service and train the personnel so everything would be ready when the public were admitted. But the big unknown was whether the market was ready for this kind of concept.
When we announced the opening day, will everybody come? Will we have a traffic jam here in front of our park? Will the highway be blocked? Nothing happened. The highway was empty, the street was empty, our parking had capacity. And the first people came in, and from the 3rd year on, it went better and better.
A success that has continued to grow over the years, as 12 years later, the park has notched up 10 million visitors, attracted by the diversity of these exceptional rides. The Kieslings, it must be said, launched this park at the perfect time, when the sector was experiencing a real revolution. From then on, manufacturers started offering more than simple slides for one person. Thanks to fiberglass, they were able to develop larger structures, which could accommodate rafts for several people. The diversity of rides would appeal to a new audience.
Christoph Kiesling's timing couldn't have been better because we had now built the #1 water ride in the world. This just revolutionized the world with all these major attractions with multi-person.
When you come into the park, you have rides with a lot of adrenaline, like Tower of Power, for example, Singa Canary, and then you have another one, more quiet, more relaxed, thinking about families and the people like, I want to be relaxed.
One of the most visible attractions in Siam Park is the Dragon, a water slide that uses 8,000 gallons of water per minute to drive 4-person rafts around at exceptional speed. But in the 2000s, its funnel-shaped format represented a challenge.
The most difficult to build for us was the Dragon, because the Dragon has the funnel is 18 meters diameter. And since our philosophy at Siam Park is we don't show fiberglass, so we had to take an 18-meter funnel being on top of some supports which are also 2 to 3 meters high. So we are about 21 meter height. And then we had to hide 21 meter.
To hide this structure from the public eye, a dragon sculpture 85 feet high by 250 feet long was built using a crane. It served as a framework for the animal's leg and back and was then covered. Another spectacular statue, which doesn't hide the park's most impressive adrenaline rush attraction, is the Tower of Power. This 90-foot-long water slide sends those who dare at a speed of 50 miles per hour through an acrylic tube through an aquarium of sharks.
The Tower of Power is the tallest, steepest ride at Siam Park, and it's based on the many speed slides that we've built over the years. So you're going from 0 to full speed in a matter of less than a second, and you're hitting through the compression at the bottom of the ride and then shooting right through the tunnel, through the shark tank. It's an experience unlike any other speed slide because of that combination of high speed and then that transition in through the tunnel.
you're dropping. You feel like, oh my God, I'm dropping straight down. You're really at about 62 degrees. It's steep.
These attractions have made the park famous since its launch. But as the market continued to evolve, customers expected newer sensations. Fierce competition came in particular from the United Arab Emirates, which offered real aquatic roller coasters, latest generation water slides using a system of linear induction motors that allow the rafts not only to descend, but also to ascend.
I talked to Rick and I said, why don't we work on an attraction like this? Because our market demands it. And so Rick did a prototype. And this prototype is here at Siam Park, which is Singa.
Well, with Singa was a really revolutionary new ride that we did for Siam Park. Every other attraction we had done for the park previously was a gravity-based ride, and Singa was the first coaster ride where we're actually sending riders uphill.
Singa, let's call it like a water roller coaster.
There's a lot more water required because you're draining water out and you're re-injecting it on the multiple ups and downs of a water coaster. So it has a very extensive pumping system.
Which goes 18 meters per second downhill and 6 meters per second uphill. And nowadays we run our pumps on 50%. That means we could go faster uphill, but then we would get air time. That means the boat at the top would jump off the slide to dive in again.
Singa has flying saucer turns. I mean, you are literally, you come out of a tunnel and you're going into an open area and you actually can see more, and it changes your ride.
The change of direction, the vertical curves, the drops, the speed uphill, and then the final plunge into the pool, it creates a ride that is non-stop action from start to finish.
These exploits are made possible thanks to state-of-the-art technology, different for each attraction. For Siam Park's wave pool, a completely different system had to be developed in order to offer a complete aquatic experience.
If you go to traditional wave pools, you have diamond waves and you have waves which are half a meter, maybe a meter, but it's not like being in the ocean, no? You don't have that like body surfing with the wave, you don't have the sensation to jump through the wave. So we wanted to have big waves, and the best provider for big waves is waves from Murphy's Waves from Scotland.
To build a wave pool, you absolutely must take into account the size of the pool into your calculations. Here, we displace a huge volume of water, 500,000 cubic feet. Compared to the pool's surface area, 500,000 cubic feet is massive. It takes a lot of different technology to make all of this work.
So, to produce a wave in the ocean, usually when this is the bottom of the sea, you need a reef so that the currency of the water gets to the reef, and then the wave builds up and it travels over the reefs to collapse behind.
The process for making artificial waves consists in placing large volumes of water in tanks built at height. Hydraulic opening doors, located at the bottom of these receptacles, allow this volume of water to be propelled through a narrow space to the level of the pool floor. The water rises upwards with the pressure and causes a wave.
The system is made up of 10 tanks with 5 pumps over 108 miles. We fill the 10 tanks, and according to the filling level, we create a large wave. Depending on the degree of openness and the direction of the gates, waves can be to the right, to the left, or they make a backwash. Anything is possible.
Once the wave creation mechanism has been perfected, there are various problems to be faced. During the first tests, the wave created overflowed the pool and continued on its way much further than the beach. A new solution had to be found to recover the water and prevent it from bursting out. This system of water collection channels has another advantage. It makes it possible to create a loop and return the water to the tanks. Once it gets to the bottom, water pumps force it upwards to refill the tanks. Advanced technology that requires a significant infrastructure in terms of space and cost, but which enables them to offer a multiple experience.
Here, the artificial waves attract all kinds of visitors, from longtime customers who come every day to play in the water, to water sports professionals. We could hold a world championship here.
They just had to define an ideal wave height that would be an exploit for the park, yet still remain accessible to as many people as possible.
We created the ideal wave for surfers to train on. A 10-foot wave already requires a professional level. Very few people manage to surf on waves higher than that. For surfing, a 7 or 10-foot wave is the perfect height. Many higher, and we'd be targeting top-level sports people.
This height allows professional surfers to train in good conditions in fresh water and without the risks of the ocean, even at night. The wave pool is reserved for them in the evening when the park is closed. But so that the little ones can enjoy it too, a similar attraction was built in 2020, Cocoa Beach.
Very similar, small, with a small wave for the family, for the kids, with the sun area, with the sunbed.
The technique in use on this 80,000 square foot attraction is nevertheless different, as the smaller wave height requires another process.
The system is totally different at Cocoa Beach. It's a pneumatic system that enables us to push the water. It wouldn't be powerful enough for a large pool. The pneumatic system creates thrust or an inflation that causes the water to move. But it's not powerful enough to create waves of 7 feet or above.
Water is an essential element in a water park. It is actually the driving force behind the various attractions, and therefore requires strict surveillance, in particular to guarantee a continuous experience.
Control of the water levels is crucial, especially in the pools at the end of attractions. If we don't check, there's a risk of accident. We carry out several checks, ensuring that the water level is ideal and guaranteeing a comfortable arrival without turbulence.
The park contains 4.6 million gallons of water, enough to fill 8 Olympic pools. Given the cost of acquiring this astronomical quantity, the park has developed a tailor-made solution to be able to use seawater and treat it at a lower cost.
Before Siam Park was created, it looked like a desert. It was a desert. So to get water in a desert area is quite costly. So we applied for the license to do a desalination unit. So to get the water to Siam Park, we had to make a drill hole within the first 100 meters from the coastline, because in Spain it's not allowed to have a drill hole further away than 100 meters from the coast. So we did a 90-meter drill hole. Then we have a submergible pump in that hole. We take out fresh seawater and we bring it up to the surface. And on the surface, then we have a pipe which comes from the drill hole to Siam Park, and it's under earth.
This salt water will undergo treatment to make it fresh water, more pleasant for visitors.
Before bringing the water into the desalination plant, we decant it into a basin and filter it. Then, when the water has been treated in the desalination plant, it is sent to the drinking water tanks. The most important element in a water park is the quality of the water. For the visitors to enjoy themselves with confidence, it must be drinking water and conform to safety rules.
We have about 21,000 cubic meters of water in the park. That's 21 million liters of water which we have in the park. All the water comes from our desalination unit.
This desalinization treatment will separate the water in two. 2/3 of this mixture of water and salt called brine ends up in a discharge well, then is discharged into the sea. Only 1/3, namely the filtered water, can be kept in a collection well.
The water is stored in a large drinking water tank that supplies the whole park. Then, each pool has its own filtering system to which we can add treatments. Our main disinfectant is the most effective that exists, chlorine dioxide. We also add hypochlorite and acids to regulate the pH.
This water must be reprocessed daily to be cleansed of all the impurities. Due to its presence in the open air and its daily use by thousands of people, it contains sand and other organic particles and bacteria.
The water from each basin passes through the filters for 30 to 90 minutes per day. That means all the park's water can be cleaned, processed, and reused in a closed circuit. In each circuit, we apply the same dose of disinfectant treatment. We also take advantage of this to regulate the water's temperature. It's an all-in-one system.
Once this water has been used in the rides, it is recycled and used to irrigate the park. So more or less 2 to 5% of the water is thus renewed each day, the equivalent of 3,000 baths.
We have a depuration unit where we recycle our water, then we bring it up to our deposit for the irrigation of the plants. And the deposit is on top of the mountain. Also our drinking deposit, all our deposits are on top. So we use gravity for our water, for the irrigation of the plants, and we use gravity to serve water to the whole park.
The park aims to be self-sufficient and to have the least possible negative impact on the environment. For this, water recycling is not the only lever on which it acts. In his desire to favor sustainable energies, Christoph Kiesling had a solar power plant built 25 miles from the park.
Our energy comes from renewable energy. 100% of our energy is green energy. We have a solar field which has 4.75 megawatt of electricity, and we have an a windmill which has 4 megawatt as well.
Siam Park also has a natural gas reserve for heating the water.
And then we have a gas heating system where we use propane air, and that represents a 72% on reduction on CO2 emission. That means the way how we heat our water is the most sustainable way and the cheapest as well. So our activity can't be a pain for society, for environment, or for the planet. And that's why we want to be, and we work to be, the most sustainable park on the world.
18 water attractions on 46 acres, the largest outdoor water park in Europe. But providing sensational attractions was not enough. The Kieslings wanted visitors to feel a real disconnect when they arrive in the park. So they decided to give it a theme, Thailand, given the experience they had acquired in Thai construction at Loro Park. So the name of the park is also directly linked to this theme, as Siam was the former name of Thailand.
The people, when they come to the park, they should change their chip. They are not in their tourist destination anymore. They have an experience. So this door is like a magical door to something different.
All the wooden houses that you see, they built by a Thailand carpenter. They came from Thailand to build the house that you see right now.
We brought 11 carpenters from Thailand because I don't want Spanish carpenters to interpret how to build a Thai house. That wouldn't work. So we contracted these people to help us to design traditional and original Thai architecture, but for the usage of a water park.
Tons of wood were sourced from that region of Asia to create the most faithful reproductions possible and to guarantee the authenticity of the buildings.
I believe just on wood we had about 11 or 12 containers.
The difference between us and the rest is the details, you know? You don't have to think about the biggest thing. You have to think about the details.
So our lockers, the locker buildings, you have one down there. They come from a Thai traditional kitchen. The building is ventilated by nature, but it's protected from insects and so on. We don't have insects here, but we need the ventilation in a locker room because the people, they get in with wet clothes, bathing suits, and so on.
5,000 visitors per day on average, with 90% of the tourists coming from Europe and other continents. To offer them a quality experience and guarantee their safety, a team ensures daily maintenance and safety in every corner of the park. The number of people employed varies greatly depending on the period, from 200 to 500 in high season.
The park is open 365 days a year, day and night. This requires constant upkeep. We have a team of plumbers, electricians, and mechanics who ensure ride maintenance around the clock.
One of the most important challenges at Siam Park is the maintenance of the rides, which can accommodate several hundred visitors per hour.
We have a team of 5 people to maintain our slides, and that starts when the park closed down. So we go in and we give them a fresh water wash. Then we check on all the slides while we wash them, if they are 100% as they should be.
Well, maintenance with fiberglass, it's a very durable product. But at the end of the day, like anything else, you know, a car or any other product, it requires maintenance. And with fiberglass, there's not a lot of moving parts for the slide sections themselves. It's primarily, you know, a cleaning and generally waxing the fiberglass to allow it to maintain its UV-resistant characteristics.
So it's like if you have skis, you also put wax under your skis, so you have a longer usage of your skis and a better performance of the slide. So the protection film is a wax on top of the slides, and each couple of years we give them a more intense polishing, and sometimes we have to paint them.
Ensuring that these rides are in good repair also helps to avoid incidents. But to guarantee maximum safety, a large part of the personnel is on duty daily within these attractions to supervise the visitors and be able to intervene in the event of a problem.
Accident can happen. Toi, toi, toi. Not here. We have a lifeguard school, so we educate people to be lifeguards. And we take which are the best lifeguards for our park, and like this we guarantee which is safety for our people.
A team of lifeguards trained regularly to maintain the reputation of Siam Park, where 10 million visits have so far occurred without accident. Siam Park is a concept that continues to grow every year, regularly integrating the latest market innovations. New roller coasters could soon arrive on the island of Tenerife, straight out of the imagination of its founder.
We have already designed a couple of rides. So for the kids area where we have Coco Beach, so I want to create which is a little water park for kids there. So we have more slides to go into Coco Beach area. And then we have the dueling Singa, since Singa was so successful. 2 slides parallel. So the people, they can go down and they can see each one. It's like a real race. So it's going to be lots of different sensations.
Ambition, vision, boldness, and creativity. A philosophy that boosts the number of visitors each year and cements Siam Park in its #1 spot as the best water park in Europe.
I believe when you have passion and when you're dedicated to do something and excellency, when you try to do the best, so you do it out of a motivation. You're not forced to do the best, you know? You want to do the best. You try to do the best. And then you start doing it. And when the clients come in and they smile at you and they say, thank you, we enjoyed this. So then you get these goosebumps, then you feel fulfilled.